Today we're machining up a haul plug. G'day guys, Matt from Hal Heavy Duty. We're an Aussie machine shop that specialises in the drilling industry, and today we're making one of these little guys. This, it's called a haul plug, is designed so that you can screw a spinner into the top, which allows this to freely rotate. It's connected to a winch at the top of the tower of a rig, and it allows them to screw this thread into a drill rod and then lift them up out of the hole to either put them onto a rod trailer when they're finished drilling, or sometimes they go down the side of the drill rig. They've got a carriage there where the drill rods can lie down, just depending on how deep they're drilling. On a water well rig, they're usually on the side of a rig, but on the deeper exploration stuff, which goes to 600 plus meters, they'll usually have a rod trailer. You will find these in all different shapes and sizes. This particular one is one of the most common. It's an NW thread to 2 3/8 IF, and we're going to be using our little Colchester Alpha 1550 to machine this up today. A lot of the stuff you've seen on the channel has been massively oversized stuff, but today I just wanted to show you some of the bread and butter simple stuff that we do 8 days a week that ends up on every single drill rig. So let's get into it. Now, this little lathe we're going to be using was actually the first of the two Colchesters that we purchased. It is a great little bit of gear. It runs a Fanuc controller, so it's pretty simple, but we've got it set up with every external tool that we're going to need already set up. All of the internal boring bars and threading bars are set up, as are all of the drilling tools. So we have a series of 4 Udrills and 1 HTS drill, and these are permanently set up in the lathe. It makes it really, really easy to do lots of random jobs. The lathe has an oversized 16-inch chuck, which allows us to do everything up to 155 mil in diameter, or 6-inch. It runs a quick change tool post, and it just makes it easy to get everything in and out, and it's also plumbed in for all of the drilling. We've got a couple little custom tool holders as well, and it just makes it really enjoyable to work on when everything is just where it needs to be. So this is what it's going to look like when we're done, and here is the billet we are working with. These are the tools we're going to be working with today. There's a total of 7 of them. So we have a WNMG insert for all of the external roughing, a few D-style inserts, some top-notch threading inserts, there's actually going to be 2 of them, a little internal WNMG, and 2 Udrills, a 32 and a 38 mil. First thing we're going to do is face the billet off, and then we're going to get into machining. So we'll set our 0 and off we go. Just so that I don't get covered in coolant, I will have it switched off for most of the time, except for when we're drilling. Whenever I'm making a crossover sub or a haul plug that has 2 different size holes to be drilled, I will always drill the larger of the 2 holes first. That way when the smaller hole is getting drilled, I can hear it break through. Because this thing will be hanging out a fair way, I'm going to center drill it and run a live center. We run WNMG Inserts as our roughing inserts and also sometimes use it for finishing as well. This particular little setup you can see here, we post fitted to the lathe. It's just a little tool holder so that we can cycle through tools without having to pull them out of the lathe and get coolant everywhere. It actually works pretty well. We have, I think, 32 tools set up in this lathe, so rather than have a turret, we just have this set up so that we can very quickly make lots of different stuff. It works pretty well. We're going to use a DNMG insert now to go in and create the profile of the actual thread. And these little inserts, believe it or not, you can run them pretty hard. We won't be able to spin it as fast as I'd like, but it'll be fine. Before we thread it, we actually have to cut a little rear shoulder here. It's a 30-degree recess, so I'm going to use a different sort of D-style insert. It's a DCMT to get in there and cut this little recess. To cut the thread itself, we're using a top-notch insert with a really good little chip breaker. So that the guys out in the field can actually grab this and it doesn't slip, we're going to knurl it using Teddy's favourite tool. And we do that in the manual lathe. We don't have it set up in the CNC, but it only takes a couple of minutes to do. This is a 4 TPI thread, so we're going to be using a top-notch insert specifically designed for that. Well, that has come up beautifully, and all that's left now to do is to give it a quick coat of paint and some defense yellow on the threads.
Well, he's going to go and hang out with his little buddies now. Hundreds and hundreds of different types of subs and hall plugs that we make. And there's all kinds of weird and wonderful things in the drilling industry that you just wouldn't imagine. Drill taps, carrots, all sorts of different stuff.
Well, I'm really happy with how that turned out. Looks beautiful. I find these really enjoyable to make just because at the end they come up looking so nice. So I always ask myself at the end of a job, what worked, what didn't, what could I do better? What worked is it turned out great. What didn't is, you'll see there, I think I mentioned it, when the tool 8 that comes in to cut that little recess shoulder, I should have been spinning the billet faster. The program had been written as if the live center was still in there, so it was limited to 250 to 300 RPM. Should have been spinning at a constant surface speed of probably 150. The other thing was the internal chamfer on the nose was a little bit big. It's not going to affect the hall plug at all, but I've actually shortened that in the programming to just make it a little bit less aggressive. The other thing is generally the finishing that we use, and it's just because it's how we've always done what we've always done, is the subs get painted and then put a coat of defense yellow. So they just painted, defense yellow goes on them. We are currently looking into improving that process by using manganese phosphation, which basically will have that sub coming, like finishing out completely black. It will remove the possibility of galling largely, and it also has anti-rust properties, because that's really the only reason we paint them. But you know, you can see as soon as they go down a hole or they've been on the back of a rig, the paint gets knocked off them and they end up looking pretty rusty anyway. So that's something we're exploring at the moment. Manganese phosphation is basically a 5 to 7 bath system where they get cleaned, etched, and then a chemical treatment occurs for them and they pop out looking fantastic. So that you'll see that in a future video, probably in the next 3 to 6 months, but they're really the things that I think we could have done better. But all in all, I'm really happy with how that turned out. And like I said, there's just so many different varieties of them and I find them really enjoyable to make. So for those of you who have been with the channel for a little while, the big rig, so this is the big 100-ton rig that's currently drilling the mega drill, little update there. So it's a 3-stage process and they've just finished stage 2. Stage 1 is where they drill the auger down. That goes down to about, I think it's about 18 meters. Don't quote me on that. That's with a 3-meter auger. They then use a 2.7 meter mega drill and go right down to 60 meters or 200 feet. They then take the shroud off further and it's 2.4 meters, I think is about 8 feet in diameter. Don't quote me, I'm just going off the top of my head here. These videos aren't scripted, by the way, it's just me chatting to you. And that's going to go right down to 250 meters or around 800 feet. We've had a lot of weather challenges. It's been mental. The first 3 months of this year, I think we've had more rain than the last 3 years. So they're now back out drilling, I think, this week. And once the hole's completed, I will be able to show you some of the highlights of how they've drilled a 8-foot hole by the time it gets to the bottom, 1/4 kilometre deep. It's quite wild, and just seeing that big drill get hoisted up the rig is just something otherworldly. So that will be coming to you. For those that have been with the channel and are a fan of our dogs, we have 3 shed dogs, Penny, Murray and Vader. Penny was a bit sick a week ago. She's bounced right back and she's ready to bite everybody, that's her job. Murray and Vader are 2 brothers from different litters, and they are just like Abbott and Costello, a constant comedy act. So the dogs are good, everyone's good. I'm recovered from being sick last week. And so if you're new to the channel, I just wanted to say, and you're newly subscribed, let me know where you tuned in from. It's one of the highlights of my week that I can see all the different countries that everyone is watching our videos from. I think we're in like 60 plus now, which is just crazy. But to all of our long-term subscribers, guys, I just want to thank you for commenting on the videos, liking them. It's what helps the channel grow. So just know that from me to you, wherever you are in the world, I am very, very grateful. So guys, that is it from me. I will catch you in the comments and I'll catch you on the next one.
Full squad. Let's go.
That's right. Righto. Murray, you're another creature. Looks like you're having fun, dude. Come on, mate. Come on. Good boy. Murray. Pretty athletic there, buddy. No more. No more. Maybe one more. You still look like a hyena. But you're doing good, hey? Good girl.